we go!
It's time for TSS Fantasy.
Who day, and I am just excited.
I'm excited to sit here. Y'all can't see all my Saints fans.
He showed with a Hall of Fame quarterback that he can get back to when he was a number 4 overall pick.
And it's the summertime indeed, guys. Welcome into TSS Fantasy. It is not your favorite commissioner. It is the Fantasy Jesus and the top duck in his pond, Mr. Mallard, Andrew LeDuc in the house. LeDuc, how you doing over there, boss?
I'm great. And you know why I'm great? Because it's Scott Fishbowl live draft weekend for me up here in Boston. I am pumped. The ratings are ready to go. So, yeah, it's going to be a big weekend Sunday down at Gillette. I'm pumped for that.
Oh, dude, big shout out to the Scott Fishbowl. Just did the Scott Fishbowl Live DC last weekend. It was a freaking blast. Shout out to Jeff Lambert for putting that whole thing together. Nice. But dude, we are here not just for the Scott Fishbowl reasons, not just for the fantasy football reasons. We're here for the rivalry reasons. We're here for the Falcons and the Bucks. It was a high scoring series last year. I mean, both games went to, I believe, the 40 points. I mean, Baker went nuts. Kirk went nuts. It was kind of the only time you had Kirk. Do you have any fond Falcons Buccaneers memory? It doesn't have to be against each other, but any fond Buccaneers memory?
I honestly don't. I unfortunately don't get to watch a lot of their games up here. They're just never on unless it's prime time. That's all I got. But I guess Michael Penix starting to come to form a little bit there towards the end. That's going to be fun to watch. And I'm looking forward to seeing that continue this year. But so I guess seeing the torch pass was probably the best part for me as a non-Falcons or Bucks fan.
Yeah, speaking of torch pass, I thought you were going to reference maybe a familiar face going to the Bucks, winning the 7th Super Bowl. I don't know.
I thought you meant just of last season.
Oh, no. I was just playing around. I thought you were going to reference, that scumbag Tom Brady leaving for the Bucks.
I will never call him a scumbag or reference him in such terms, but my I tell the story all the time. My parents a few Christmases ago got me a Brady Bucks jersey, and it still hangs in my closet unworn, and it will never be worn.
You should hang that stuff up as just like a memento.
Yes. Once I have a more established office that's not in the basement with the insulation showing behind that little piece of plexi, plywood there, then we'll do that.
Well, you're doing a hell of a job. I see your cabinet back there. It's looking pretty stylish already.
Working on it.
But anyways, guys, we thank you for coming in. We thank you for being with us. We are the show of the people, so obviously we want to get back to the people. So go ahead. It's Fast Draft Friday, guys. Right now, if you use the code TSS with Fast Draft, you get up to $50 match. That is right, up to $50. That gives you $100 to throw towards the rabbit, which on a Fast Draft Friday, right now the top prize is $50,000. I don't know about you, LeDuc. I could use some $50,000 right now.
I get a wedding coming up in September. Yes, the answer is yes.
That man needs to put in TSS right now on Fast Draft and double his chances on getting that $50,000 from the rabbit competition. Also, guys, if you have $50,000 and you're thinking about, you know what am I going to do for this upcoming season for a championship? Well, you need to go to Pro-Am Sports Belts, or it's Pro-Am Belts. I'm sorry, not Pro-Am Sports Belts, Pro-Am Belts, and use the keyword TSS. Tell them we sent you. They will give you 10% off of your next belt. And those things are nice, man. They really design them up good. Their stock belts are nice, and they will fully customize them for you as well. And then finally, if you ever wanted to be the GM of your team, you ever look at Arthur Blank and go, you know what? I could do a lot better than this guy. This guy drafted Kyle Pitts. He's not even a blocking tight end in the first round. You ever have those little gripes with your coaches and your GMs? Well, Ultra GM's got your back on that. Ultra GM allows you to take control of your team's salary cap and all, and it gives you the opportunity to play against other Falcons, Bucks, Pats, 49ers fans, and show them that you really know what you're talking about when you say you're a good GM and you would do so much better than Jason Light on a Sunday with a hot dog in your hand, 3 beers deep. So if you want right now, go out there, sign up for Ultra GM, sign up for the app, and you can get you $5 off with the promo code TSS Fantasy. You know what, Duke? I've just been spewing out sponsorships, but we've got some great guests today. I mean, we've got great James Yarko and great Scott Kennedy. James is from the Locked On podcast show, Locked On series. The Locked On network is a great network. I know I go there for 49ers news. I can't even imagine what he's going to give us from the Buck side. And then Scott Kennedy is our rep on the Falcons podcast. Also, he works for Sports Illustrated in Atlanta. So without further ado, let's get these gentlemen in.
They will certainly know more than us when it comes to these two teams.
How you doing, fellas?
Doing well.
Yep.
Good,
Happy to be here. Appreciate you.
We appreciate you for coming on, my man. Appreciate you for coming on. So, guys, this is our series. It was brought on by rivalries. We brought out the best teams and divisional rivals are like, it's a different thing, right? You see each other twice a year. You get a little built up. Some fans get a little bit more built up than others. And it's just when the collision happens, sometimes there's fireworks. And last year there was a ton of fireworks behind the Falcons-Bucks game. Those games were some of the best games for fantasy and NFL purposes, period. So I just want, before we get into it, I want you guys to give me a memory or maybe a gripe you have with a certain fan base. I'll start off with you, James. Tell me something I need to know about the Falcons fan base.
Well, I've never really had too many issues with the Falcons fan base. I know that we can agree that we both hate the Saints fan base. The Saints fans are the absolute worst. But I would say that my big gripe in terms of these games, going back to last year, was I still to this day do not understand how the NFL has 8,000 cameras inside of these stadiums. How did we not get a good camera angle of Antoine Winfield Jr. stripping Kyle Pitts of the football before he crossed the goal line? They give the Falcons a touchdown. It ends up being a really close game. That touchdown mattered, and it was one of the few highlights that a very beaten up and often injured Antoine Winfield Jr. had last year. So that's my big takeaway. Yeah, the Thursday night game in Atlanta, the Bucs thought they had it. Levante gets the big interception at the end, and then they let Kirk Cousins just march right on down the field, and then the throwback game. But I'll tell you what, I'm really, really excited about their Week 15 matchup this year on Thursday Night Football. Both teams in their 70s throwback. Bucs are in the creamsicle orange. The Falcons are rocking the red helmets. Aesthetically, it might be the second best looking game we have in the NFL this season, behind only the Seahawks and Bucks in Week 5, when both teams are going to wear their 1976 uniforms there in Seattle. So that's going to be a really cool look as well.
It's something about the creamsicle that really throws you back and you go, oh man, this is good stuff. And then when you have the old Buccaneer with the knife in his mouth, oh, come on. You got to love those helmets. Got to love those designs. Scott, please follow up. Please tell me if you have a gripe. You can also take a dump on the Saints fans. Don't worry, they're listening.
Well, I stacked the deck a little bit, y'all. I was like, you know what? Let's bring in some live folks in here. So I started streaming to my YouTube channel, and you see the Falcons fans are pouring in already. And as they agree, everybody hates the Saints. So, I don't know, and they can back me up here. There's not a lot of animosity with the Buccaneers. If it's only 4-team divisions, and you think, okay, you definitely don't like the Panthers more than the Buccaneers, and then one of the most underrated rivalries, because both teams are terrible through the ages, is the Saints Falcons. That's been a great rivalry that nobody talks about because both teams were so bad for so long. That there's some respect between Tampa Bay. When we talk about some of the gripes, I didn't want to hear about Antoine Winfield after the roughing the passer on Grady Jarrett on Tom Brady 2 years ago.
You can't touch Tom. Those are the rules.
That was he didn't touch Tom Brady. He didn't. So, I think some of it though, looking through the history is watching. I went and charted Jameis Winston's games against the Atlanta Falcons, and he's got like 105 passer rating. So I've written against the Falcons. I've written a few times. I'm like, it is not an exaggeration to say he literally turns into Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes when he plays the Falcons, because he actually has a higher career passer rating than those guys. On the flip side, Julio Jones was awfully fun to watch against the Bucs, and I think Drake London has kind of taken up that mantle for you fantasy folks out there. If Drake is going up against Tampa Bay, make sure he's in your lineup. He's a guy you want in your lineup anyway. But Drake, I think, has kind of taken the mantle from Julio. He's put up like 3 or 4 of his 5 best games of his career. He's played them 6 times of his career against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Wow. Scott over here making me want to go draft Drake London 101 right now. You take up the mantle. Julio Jones. Whoa. That's amazing. I love it.
Now, Julio put up some numbers against the Bucs. I mean, that's not somebody that Buccaneers fans, I don't think, were too sad to see the back of when he finally kind of broke down.
Well, they were when he was in Tampa breaking down.
That's true. I forgot about that. Yeah, he did wrestle a couple $1 million out of a few more teams after he was pretty well used up, worn up, and put up wet by the Atlanta Falcons. They used him like a running back a lot. They throw a lot of slip screens, and he had to work his way down. Something I've talked about for years. Why didn't Julio Jones score more touchdowns? Why was he always on the sidelines in the red zone? Well, because he'd have 5 catches for 60 yards to get into the red zone, and then he'd be over there huffing oxygen as they're inside the 20 then.
That's true. That's very true. Julio is one of those that you look at the numbers and you go, how is this guy not trying to catch Jerry Rice? He was just one of those electric receivers. But when he was in Tampa, all I remember is most of the time he spent on the sideline with a hamstring injury.
Hamstring.
He was warming up, and then he'd be like, no, I'm too tight. I'm not gonna play.
And when he was on the field, he was actually effective. Like he started to show like some vintage Julio stuff, but it was such a mess. And Julio's never on the Bucs if Antonio Brown doesn't strip his clothes off and dance off the field in Jersey. So
another thing to thank AB for. Another great thing to thank AB.
Ironically, and he's grown up a lot. And I've mentioned this on the Falcons podcast a lot. How a 33-year-old arrogant, smart whiz kid that gets the job too soon, and then gets humbled and circles back around. When Raheem Morris was at the Bucs, he would not shut up. I couldn't stand him. But I compare him a lot to like Lane Kiffin. I felt the same way about Lane Kiffin at the time too. And now Lane Kiffin is one of the best quotes and most fun personalities in football, college or pro. So there's something to be said for these, 32, 33. Now that I got 2 decades on those guys, I remember what I was like at, that age.
Yeah. Speaking of
maturing
early
and becoming, grown men instead of kids that are maybe had a little bit too much success too early.
Yeah. Speaking of too much success too early, Kyle Shanahan, I'm still waiting for him to be a good press conference guy, because he's trying to put on his best Belichick while still channeling his father and not really like answering questions from certain reporters. But anyways, Scott, I'm going to start with you first. Let's talk about the off season. And I just want to get into real quick. I want to talk about your key signings and your key departures. Your most important departure, obviously, being Grady Jarrett, Drew Dahlman. Key pickups: Leonard Floyd, Divine Diablo, another good linebacker, Morgan Fox, Jamal Agnew, Kevin King. I'm sorry.
You're saying Key, and you're like, wait a minute. They signed those guys? I don't even remember them signing them.
well, you know who it was? It was Lenny Krieg for the Buccaneers, I believe, was a kicker that was signed.
Hey, that could be an underrated signing if Younghoe Koo is not healthy again. That was one of the I even hate saying the word Achilles heel with around football players.
Oh,
But that was a big problem for the Falcons last year, was the injury that Koo had, and he's hitting about 60% from his field goals. It changed the way games were played. I think he hit like 5 against the Saints and then was terrible for the rest of the season until he finally was like, oh, yeah, I really am hurt. Kirk Cousins has gotten a lot of shtick from Falcons fans for basically doing the same thing that Younghoe did. Younghoe was, masking an injury, and I try and tell people all the time, I'm like, if you're mad at Kirk Cousins for masking an injury, you're mad at the wrong person. That's what professional athletes do to try and hold on to their jobs. It's up to the coach to say, this guy's throwing at about 40% velocity and has 9 interceptions. Maybe I should bench him. That's on the coaching staff. That's not on Kirk Cousins.
Well, so Scott, I'm just going to let you go from here because obviously we went on to a kicking tangent, and kicking isn't relevant in fantasy, but we're not going to talk about kickers here. I want you to just tell me, because a lot of your pickups in the offseason were a lot of guys or fillers and stuff like that. Not really huge impact players, but you did lose Grady Jarrett. Just tell me about how you grade your free agency overall.
Well, it's tough because they didn't have any money. And the thing is they had planned. What kind of gets me is they had planned on not having any money. The idea was to have Kirk Cousins, Kirk Cousins, we don't have any money. And he's not playing. You planned on having Kirk Cousins for 2 years. That was always the plan. So you went into this knowing you weren't going to have any money in free agency, yet you were win now, going for it with Kirk Cousins. No. Every move they made since signing Kirk Cousins made them think that they were actually planning on being good in 2026 and handing it over. What the Falcons have done is they've built over the last 5 years an offense. Their offense is loaded with first-round draft picks. And then this past offseason, they're finally like, oh, yeah, the other side of the ball. Now we remember. So they had their first-round pick on the defensive side of the ball since 2020. A.J. Terrell was the last time they used a first-round pick on that side of the ball. And there's only been 2 in the last 15 years. They just do not do defense in Atlanta, and it's astounding. But there are a lot of young, new, hungry, talented faces on that defensive side of the ball. And most importantly, even if you don't think Jeff Ulbrich is very good, by default, he will be better than Jimmy Lake, who had the worst coach defense. And I'm not into hyperbole, but I mentally rank things all the time. I'm a fantasy guy, right? The worst coach defense at the college or pro level I've ever seen. Not the worst defense I've ever seen, because the Falcons do have some players on that side of the ball, and they did have some players last year on that side of the ball. A couple All-Pros, a couple of Pro Bowls, Grady Jarrett. It was the worst coach defense I'd ever laid eyes on at that level. So by default, they can be worse on personnel, and I don't know that they are. I don't even think they are, but still be better on the defensive side of the ball because they got rid of Jimmy Lake.
That's a strong statement right there. Sometimes getting rid of that coach can just be that much better, huh? But I'll tell you what, this is one of the weirdest things I've ever heard. A Carolina fan is almost as obnoxious as a Cowboys fan.
I just see that.
I've been to Charlotte. I didn't even know Carolina Panthers fans existed until I went to Charlotte. And even then, I thought the 49er fans were outnumbering them at that point. But that is such a wild statement. Are they really that obnoxious, guys?
I don't know. If I see people trolling, I just block them. I don't have time for this anymore. I'm like, yeah, you're gone. If you don't want to have an actual conversation, I'm happy to talk with other teams' fans. I love it. I did a Broncos podcast for 5 years. In fact, we got a couple Broncos fans in here tonight, I recognize. Shout out to Patrick Wiltsey, Lion Coffee out in Hawaii.
Hawaii, nice.
Shout out.
I don't deal with them. I just hit block. I'm like, no thanks.
Fair enough.
If you don't want to have a real conversation, then I don't either. Goodbye.
Fair enough. James, I got to ask you, though. Your offseason was very much identical in the way that you guys really you re-signed a couple guys. You re-signed Chris Godwin, 100%. That was great, coming off the injury. You still got a lot of faith in him. But you got Hassan Reddick, and then a lot of guys that are kind of just filler at that point. You didn't really lose much either. Just tell me how you feel about your offseason. How do you feel about free agency for the Bucs?
Well, they did what they needed to do, right? They didn't have kind of that alpha edge rush guy. So you go out, you get Hassan Reddick for a lot cheaper than you probably would have gotten him had the Jets not jetted up that entire thing and really screwed everything up with Reddick. So you're hoping that he gets back to the same form that he had with the Eagles. And even if he's not getting double-digit sacks, if his presence alone elevates Yaya Diaby to the level that he was as a rookie, elevates Kalijah Cansey, elevates Vita Vea, that kind of thing, and you're not having to rely – well, Todd Bowles is a genius. You don't want him to rely on bringing Antoine Winfield Jr. and Tyke Smith and Christian Izzy and these guys out of the secondary to be able to blitz the quarterback. You have to be able to get home with your natural pass rush. So I think that was the biggest thing. And then, to your credit, the rest of it was kind of like filler. You have Anthony Walker Jr., who was signed as a linebacker. He's going to kind of platoon with Servassier Dennis, who we're finally going to see play healthy. He dealt with a shoulder injury the first couple of years of his career, finally called it quits last year, had to get the surgery. But then Charlie Heck was a guy that they signed just as depth along the offensive line. Well, now you have the Tristan Wirfs injury. He could potentially miss the first 4 games of the season. You're talking about having to go up against the pass rushes of the Falcons and the Houston Texans and the Jets and the Eagles without the best left tackle in the NFL. So now all of a sudden that signing is majorly important. And what's nice about it is they have all of training camp to be able to make sure that they're bringing him along and to prepare him as a starter. Whereas, it didn't happen in week 1. It didn't happen in week 2 where you're having to change on the fly. So the loss of Justin School there to Minnesota, because they knew they had the same situation. They were going to be without one of their tackles for the first 4 weeks. That loss kind of lingers a little bit, but bringing in Charlie Heck and having that depth there, it's going to play a huge role in how this team starts the year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a year in which the Bucs are really kind of just like trying to maintain and just get a little bit better. I know the Tristan Wirfs injury is going to be huge, but it's a good sign that he's going to be available at some point during the season. So, hopefully you guys can continue your playoff strides this year with Baker at the helm. But let's go to the draft. And I want to talk with Scott. Sorry, my dog is going crazy in the background. But I want to talk with Scott first with the Falcons. And I want to go with, you guys got Jalen Walker, James Pierce, Xavier Watts, Billy Bowman, and then tackle.
Developmental offensive tackle.
Yeah. So you guys went very hard on the defensive side. You went with a down lineman, you went with an outside linebacker, and then you went with 2 safeties. Tell me how you're feeling about this draft with how limited the picks were and with you guys trading up to get Pierce.
Loved it. It was one of it's okay to do the obvious. That's something that the Falcons haven't always done. And whenever they try and step outside of the box, it usually blows up in their faces. That's kind of the history of this franchise. They've had the worst pass rush. No matter what metric you use, the worst, 32 in sacks in the last 10 years, 32 in sacks in the last 20 years, 32 in sacks in the last 30 years. They've just been horrendous. And I think they've only taken, you compared it, we compared it to what Philadelphia has done on the defensive line with their first round picks under Howie Roseman and how he's built the trenches versus what the Falcons have done, who like to build a 7-on-7 team with their draft picks and mostly on offense. And they went and doubled down on edge rusher. Well, that's okay. They needed to. And Leonard Floyd is a cheap 1-year guy who can come in and help stay the course. He's an upgrade over Lorenzo Carter, who played that position last year. So now you got a 4-man rotation of Arnold Ebiketie, who was a 2nd-round draft pick, who was a serviceable pro. The Falcons are hoping he could, maybe take that step this year. He's in the last year of his rookie deal. They got 2 first-round edge guys, and then Floyd is a 4th one. So that's a pretty good 4-man rotation. It's the best 4-man rotation they've had since I can remember, at least at that position. So on that side, and then we can, I'll hand it back over if y'all have any other questions about that. But then I'll talk about the defensive backs as well.
Yeah, no, please do. Keep going.
Okay, and then on the other side of the ball, not even on the other side of the ball, just a little bit farther back, I kind of glossed over this, but you mentioned the signing of Divine Diablo. Diablo was an excellent signing for them. They used a second round pick on Troy Anderson, who if y'all watch relative athletic score, ras.football.com, I use it all the time. Y'all probably do too. Troy Anderson's a 10. He's a 10 on there. He cannot stay on the field. So when he's been off the field, the last time we saw him really play, he was NFC Defensive Player of the Week against the New Orleans Saints. When he's not in the game, they've been using undersized, underspeeded, undrafted free agent and 5th or 6th or 7th round draft pick linebackers to try and fill in next to Caden Ellis. Caden Ellis is a very good player, but they needed more, and Divine Diablo is more. He's better. So now you've got some insurance. They're penciling him in as a starter right now. And now if Troy Anderson's healthy, you got a pretty good 3-person rotation, but that's a big if. You can't go into the season thinking Troy Anderson's going to be healthy, and they didn't. That was smart. Thank you. It's okay to do the obvious. They needed another safety because Justin Simmons was going to they were going to let him walk. So they got a guy in the 3rd round that they really liked. They probably wanted to take in the 2nd, Xavier Watts, who's next to, and that's a debate. I use a phrase all the time. I do not debate levels of elite. So I'm not going to argue with a Bucs person or a Bucs fan about who's the better safety. But Jesse Bates is damn good. That's going to be playing next to him. So would have liked to have seen another cornerback. Some investment in the cornerback, but they were low on picks. And they were low on money. You can't fix everything in one offseason. So I think that's one of the areas to look for upcoming in 2026. That and possibly Jake Matthews is getting a little bit older, and Caleb McGarry at right tackle is out of contract after this year too. So looking at cornerback, we'll see how that goes. They like Kobe Bryant out of Kansas. He was a mid-round pick projected and actually didn't get drafted. So undrafted free agent Kobe Bryant could see some time as well.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant was one of the guys I was watching out of Kansas too. I thought he was going to be at least a 5th round pick. But James, onto the Bucs. We got a lot of wide receivers in that room, man. We got Emeka Buka as your 1st rounder. Then you go Benjamin Morris, Jacob Parrish, who I was absolutely on out of K-State. I thought he moved up very nicely in that position for you guys. David Walker out of Central Arkansas, Elijah Roberts, and then finally Bo Nix, his brother, Tez Johnson out of Oregon. Tell me how this rotation is going to look, because it seems like you got a ton of slot receivers.
Well, here's the thing about Emeka Egbuka, and as the card-carrying president of the Ohio State Haters Club, I hate giving credit to Ohio State players, but Emeka Egbuka is absolutely incredible, and he's the guy that I think when you start the season, he's going to fill primarily the Chris Godwin role. That's not to say that I think Godwin won't play at the start of the season, but he's probably going to be on a little bit of a snap count to start things off. So you have Egbuka, who I sat down and I suffered through I watched 4 different Ohio State games from last year. And the biggest takeaway that I had from him was that footwork that he has is absolutely elite. The way he can manipulate defensive backs it's unbelievable. He is the most well-rounded receiver I can remember the Bucs ever drafting. Now, that's not to say he's going to be better than Mike Evans, but coming out of college, he is more well-rounded than anybody that I can remember. So there's not and this is a hill that I've been criticized for standing on. I will die on this hill. There's no team in the NFL that can line up 4 wide and be as dangerous as the Buccaneers. When you have Evans, Godwin, Egbuka, and Jalen McMillan, nobody is more dangerous, and somebody is always going to be open. And then if you want to go 4 wide and then give it to Bucky Irving and have all that space for him to get into, good luck. But honestly, the most excited I was for a draft pick was Benjamin Morrison. Benjamin Morrison was a guy that I started talking to my listeners and viewers about in October. And I was pounding the table that Benjamin Morrison is the right guy to come in and help this secondary. And he should have been a 1st-round pick. If it wasn't for a hip injury, he's going top 20 in the draft. Instead, he falls all the way to 53. It did break my heart, Scott, that the Falcons got Xavier Watts, because I thought if they can get Morrison and Xavier Watts, that's unbelievable. Xavier Watts is one of the biggest ball hawks coming out of the draft. He's absolutely incredible. But my phone blew up when the Bucs drafted Morrison more than it did when they signed Tom Brady. So like people knew that I was on the Benjamin Morrison train. He's I don't think it's going to take long for him to be a starter. Jamel Dean's going to start the season as a starter, but you all know Jamel Dean's going to leave a game at some point with an injury, and he's going to miss time. Benjamin Morrison, once he gets that opportunity, he's not backing out. Then you mentioned Jacob Parrish. I think he's kind of penciled in as the starting slot corner. They're moving Tyke Smith back to safety. I think that's a solid move to line him up with Antoine Winfield Jr. And again, Scott, I'm not going to argue with you over Jesse Bates versus Antoine Winfield Jr. I think we can both agree they're two of the best in the game. They're both absolutely fantastic. And then,
neither fan base wants to trade one for the other, and that's when you know
Exactly.
you pretty much have you're pretty well set. I mean, they're both fantastic football players.
Yeah, absolutely. They both have big impact on games. And then as far as the rest, Tez Johnson, I think he makes the team because of special teams. Trey Palmer just has not been that dude. And then fingers crossed, David Walker becomes the best professional athlete to ever come out of Central Arkansas. Shout out to anybody in the chat that can name the Hall of Fame professional athlete to come out of Central Arkansas. You'll get bonus points for me on that one.
I bet I can do it.
I bet you can too.
I'm an 80s kid, so 80s, 90s basketball fan, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
So I bet I can do it.
All right, guys. Well, that was great. We'll save that for later. Scott, you can be the guy that mediates through all the chat and see if we get it right. I don't know it off the top of my head. But we're gonna do a little segment now where
Let me give you a hint. He's got at least 6 rings.
He's got at least 6 rings. There you go. But we're gonna do a little segment called "Percent to the Bench," and we're gonna start off with the Bucs.
Shiver me timbers. It's Percent to the Bench with Brian Scott and the Injured List podcast. And we're talking about those Tampa Bay Bucs. What do we got today?
All righty. Well, we're going to kick it off with Chris Godwin. He suffered a fractured, dislocated ankle in week 7 last season versus Baltimore, thus ending the season for him. He underwent successful surgery and rehab during the offseason. Coaches are optimistic as of June that he'll be ready for a week 1 return. Now, keep in mind, he's dealt with many injuries throughout his career, initially with some hamstring issues that lingered from year to year, and more recently, back in 2021, a knee ACL injury that required surgery, and then last year, his ankle dislocation. Unfortunately, Chris Godwin is getting a 25% chance to the bench. Bucky Irving at the running back position, he endured some hip and back issues last season, kind of toward the end of the season, which sidelined him for a few practices and limited some of his play, but he was able to suit up in week 15 and play the remainder of the year. He's getting a 10% chance to the bench. And then Baker Mayfield, the guy played banged up and bruised up all season long, didn't miss much time. He's a stud, and he's going to be there no matter what. I've given him a 5% chance to the bench.
Crazy to think how quickly Baker Mayfield has turned his career around. Good on him. He's a good guy.
Some
all right,
guys
Brian.
Just take time to develop in the league. It's not unheard of.
It's very true. We got to give patience and time. All right, Brian, we appreciate you. We'll see you next time.
All right.
I had to look it up. That's awesome. The greatest wingman ever, huh? Well, guys, this is the next part of our show where we start to talk some strategy. So we're going to get into it. We're going to into our predictions and our draft strategy. So this is where we talk about the Falcons, where you think they're going to do, in the Bucs, what you think they're going to do. But then we also go position by position and we talk about what the fantasy implications could be for this. So I want to first off kick it off to you guys because I know you guys are the guys when it comes to these teams. So I'm going to kick it off to James to start off with. James, tell me what you think season prediction wise for the Bucks. Give me a record. Do you think they go to the playoffs and win a playoff game? Of course, you think they go to the playoffs, but you think they win a playoff game? You think they're going to the Super Bowl? Give it to me. I'll take the most wild take you got.
I can bust out some wild takes, but legitimately, I think this is a 11 to 12 win football team. Even if they have to split opening the season 2-2, let's say they lose to the Falcons and the Eagles, they beat the Texans and the Jets, even going 2-2 without Tristan Wirfs, this is still a team that can string together enough wins to get to that 11-12 mark. And they're absolutely going to not only make the playoffs, but I think they're going to make a playoff run. When you look at the talent on this team, what hindered them last year were the injuries. They were signing parking lot attendants outside to come in and play corner for them in these games late in the season. So if they can avoid the injury bug that they had last year, and you look at their elite talent versus the elite talent of some of these other contending teams, this is an offense that can go toe-to-toe with anyone in the league. This is a defense that hopefully got the couple of pieces that they needed to get back to that championship form, in signing Hassan Reddick and drafting Morrison and Parrish, in having a healthy Servassier Dennis there next to Levante David. Hopefully Antoine Winfield Jr. is healthy as well. So this is one of the best teams in the NFC. There's absolutely no reason that they can't make it to an NFC championship this season if they stay healthy.
I like it. And let's kick it off with you also with, tell me what you think of Baker Mayfield. What do you think his statistics could be this year?
I think you're looking at even a little bit better than what he had last year, which was career highs across the board, 4,500 yards, 41 touchdowns, over a 72% completion percentage. It had only been done once before in NFL history. And then two guys, both Baker and Joe Burrow, do that last year. You add Emeka Egbuka. You have Bucky Irving going into his second year. You have all of these weapons out there, and I don't think the offense is going to dip because of the loss of Liam Cohen. Josh Broussard was brought in because of Liam Cohen. He's going to run a very similar offense. He's going to have his own little wrinkles to it, but we're talking, the potential of touchdowns and probably 5,000 yards for Baker Mayfield. Just got to bring those interceptions down. He had 16 last year. You bring him down to 10 or 12 compared to 40 plus touchdowns. I'll take that any day of the week.
Oh, I love that. I love to hear that because I started investing in Baker when he went to the Bucks. I was just like, got him for a couple second round picks. I love that. Scott, I'm going to ask you the same question, but obviously about the Falcons and Penix. So what do you feel on the predictions wise for the Falcons this year? Record wise, do you think they're finally going to get to that playoffs? And then tell me how you think your boy Michael Penix is going to do.
I think this is a pivotal year for the entire organization. Terry Fontenot is entering his 5th season. He has yet to have a winning season. And when Raheem Morris took this job, it was considered a playoff-ready roster that was just a quarterback away. So I think the leash is a little shorter than your standard 3 years that you might get. Now, the Falcons over and under right now, if you look at Vegas, is 7.5 wins. They won 8 last year. They won 8-9 last year after 3 straight 7-10 seasons. It was 7.5. Now, the game where if I tell you something, you say the first thing that comes to mind? All right. I don't want you to think about this. I want you to reflexively answer. Okay? So don't think about it. Just answer me. The Falcons finished what in total offense last year among 32 teams? Where did they finish? Just answer.
24th.
Where?
24th, I said.
6th.
Did they really?
The Atlanta Falcons finished 6th. I just looked it up. The Bucks finished 3rd. That was higher than I was expecting on that, too. The Falcons finished 6th in total offense last year, despite 2/3 of midseason collapse from Kirk Cousins and a swap to a rookie quarterback for the last 3 games. Now, those last 3 games, they're small sample size, but Michael Penix and the offense's numbers were better in those last 3 games than they were over the course of a season where they still finished 6th in total offense. So they need to get better in the red zone, and their kicking game needs to get better. And then if Michael Penix can pick up where he left off and get some of those timing routes and stuff down, I don't think 4,000 yards and 25 touchdowns is out of the question with him for his first full season as a starter. He was well above that last year. 2 poor defenses, but this is an offense. It's a veteran offensive line. You got first-round draft picks all over the place. Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier is one of the best, probably a top 15 running back in football, and he'll get paid like one when he's a free agent after next season. Darnell Mooney is the guy that nobody talks about.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody keeps saying, well, they need Kyle Pitts to step up. No, they don't. If Kyle Pitts steps up, it's gravy. Darnell Mooney missed the last game of the season and finished with 992 yards, and people are acting like it's nothing with a deep threat guy with a guy that couldn't throw deep. So the offense is set. The X factor in this equation is the defense. How much better can the defense be? Because in metrics that count, they were a bottom 3 defense last year. They were able to take the air out of the ball, and teams were able to run on them forever. Long scoring drives, long drawn-out drives, limiting the possession, so it limited total yards and limited total points. They were bottom 3 in third down percentage. They gave up 70% passing last year. 70% for the entire season is unbelievable. So if they just go from god-awful to bad, they're a playoff team. They're a playoff team.
It's a fair point.
And it feels like any year it's a coin flip in the NFC South because.
But you think it is, but it hasn't been. What have the Bucs won? 4 in a row, 5 in a row now? I've lost count.
So, ever since Brady got there, they pretty much.
Yeah, so it's been a while. We're not talking Atlanta Braves, 14 in a row yet, but it's been the Bucs division to lose, and it still is right now because the Saints are tanking. They got the get out of jail free card from Carr. Unbelievable luck that the voodoo that they stuck into Carr's leg to get $50 million back for a team that doesn't know how to manage a salary cap. And the Panthers, we'll see. They should be better, but are they playoff contenders yet? Is Bryce Young the real deal? Those are some big, big questions. Whereas Michael Penix is stepping into a ready-made offense on a defense that should be at least a little better on an 8-9 team. Now, the schedule, I think, is harder. I think it's the hardest schedule they faced in some time, but the team should be better. And my expectations are if they don't, 10-7 has been good enough to make the playoffs in this division a lot. They should be 10-7. And if they're not 9-8, they should be okay. 8-9 again, they're cleaning house. And there's people y'all know that are out there that will defend anything and everything that their team does, no matter how stupid it is. And Terry Fontenot's got his backers no matter what he does. And, I think he's been great on free agents other than Kirk Cousins. I love what he did with the draft this year, but he's got to win. He's got to win this year. If I walked into a front office for a job interview and said, here's my 5-year plan so that we'll be winners in year 6, you think I get that job? No way. I never get hired. So why shouldn't we hold them to that standard? If they do not win this year in the 5th year with this team, I think they clean house.
And speaking of winning, LeDuc, we got to do some winning in fantasy football. So I'm going to pass it to my fantasy football guy here. You heard all the information. Are you safely taking Michael Penix and Baker Mayfield this year? And where are you?
Yeah, so I'm taking Baker Mayfield as a top 8 guy. I think I have him ranked 6th right now. For all the reasons that James said, just the weapons he has this year, plus the experience and the I guess lack of full turnover between their stars. Like there's just going to be some good chemistry there. It's going to work out. So I see no reason other than the interceptions why he can't possibly even break into the top 5. But I'll be a little bit more realistic and have him run a 7-8 range. Michael Penix. On that end, I do have him a bit further back. I have him more like a QB2 in the late teens, early 20s, right around that range. And that's mainly not because I don't believe in what Michael Penix can do. Like you said, that offensive line, that's a big key to a young QB's development. So I love that for him. I really hope it's working out for the Pats and May up here with that offensive line, but we'll see. So because of that, I think he'll do all right. There's just so many good quarterbacks that I can't I can't put him above them yet, but you could easily get great value if you're going to be able to get him around like the 20, 22 range. And he could easily turn around and perform like a 13 or 14 pick.
Nice. All right, guys. So I know we got a little bit of a time constraint. I know you both got to get up early. So I want to just do this real quick. I want you guys to both tell me how you're feeling about your running back and your pass catchers, and then I'll pass it to Andrew, and then we'll get to some trivia. So we'll start off with you, James. Tell me how you're feeling about Buck, and tell me, I want this from you. Tell me the order in which we should be drafting these wide receivers.
Okay. I love Bucky. Who doesn't love Bucky? He became like a viral sensation last year. But here's the thing. I'm cautiously optimistic that he's going to be able to repeat or improve on his performance last year. Now, he didn't become the full-time starter, or at least the RB1 until late into the year. So can he put that entire season together? That's the big question. The Bucs have a knack for finding rookie running backs that explode their rookie year. You can go all the way back to Doug Martin, who did it. And then there was a huge lull, and then he spiked back up again, got paid, and then was out of the league within like 2 years. So I do think Bucky's the kind of guy that's going to give you probably 1,500 all-purpose yards. Will he crack the 1,000-yard rushing mark? I don't know, but 1,500 all-purpose and probably, 5 or 6 touchdowns, because you still have Sean Tucker, you still have Rashad White for more of those short yardage situations. So I really like the Bucs running back room. And then as far as like drafting these wide receivers, Mike Evans is the first one you're taking. You're getting 1,000, you're getting double-digit touchdowns. Book it, bet your mortgage on it. That's what's happening. After that, it gets a little murky, because I expect Godwin to have another great season. He was top 3 in every receiving metric you could find when Roquan Smith hip drop tackled and snapped his leg in half. So, if Godwin plays a full season, Jamar Chase is not a Triple Crown winner. But people are going to be scared of the injury, so he's going to drop in those drafts. I would say you still take Godwin second. Ibuka is a guy that you're going to be able to pick late in these drafts that is going to have immediate impact. He's going to be, wide receiver 2 upside, but probably an every week flex at the very minimum, especially in PPR. So I would go Evans, Godwin, Ibuka, McMillan, but these are guys that you can start on any given week, because any week they could be the number 1 guy for Baker.
I love it. And I just wish that Jalen McMillan had gotten more of an opportunity earlier on, because what he showed late, I was just like, man, this is
the injuries again. He was in and out of the lineup. He was dealing with hamstring injury. He was dealing with something else. So he was in and out. But once he got in there and was playing every week, tied Jamar Chase for the most receiving touchdowns in the league over the last 7 weeks. So I just weapons on weapons on weapons. I'm so excited for this offense, guys. Like, you have no idea.
I can hear it. Scott, I know you're just as excited for your offense, because I'm excited for your offense. You got B. John, pretty much the god of fantasy football right now. You got Drake London, who I agree with you probably should be higher up there. And you got Darnell Mooney, who is a sneaky pick. Tell me, you really got to tell me this. Is Kyle Pitts really just like toast? Is he somebody that the team is just going to get rid of after this season? And are we looking into like getting somebody like maybe like a Ray McLeod later on in drafts, a Nick Nash, or any of those guys worth a shot in this offense? Please just give me a heads up on that.
Kyle Pitts was the wrong pick at the wrong time for the Atlanta Falcons. He was a 20-year-old pass catcher for a team with an aging, expensive quarterback, no offensive line at the time, and a Swiss cheese defense. So people are like, oh, it's not his fault. And that's always my answer. I don't care. There's people will defend anything that anybody does if they're wearing the right colors. I don't care if you think it's Kyle Pitts' fault, or if you think he's a bust, or if you think it's the Falcons' fault for failing him. Either way, you come up to the same conclusion. It was the wrong pick. It was for the wrong time. You have no quarterback plan. Now you think you've got your quarterback, and he's in his 5th year, and he's in his 5th year option. When you finally get your quarterback situation set up, you just wasted his whole rookie contract. Kyle Pitts is still 24 years old. Going back to those things, I'm not sure, how many of you realize that, but he started his first 3 games in the NFL as a 20-year-old. The talent you think is still there, but it just doesn't show up. The 4.4, the explosion in and out of the breaks just isn't there. The catch radius is there, but he hasn't had a quarterback that's been accurate since Matt Ryan. So you wonder, I don't know, is he falling down the pecking order? Because at best right now, he's the 4th option at best in this offense. Bijan will touch the ball more than anybody. Then it's Drake. Then it's Darnell. And Darnell's the one that I don't think fantasy football people will sleep on him, because they'll look at the numbers and go, oh, Darnell Mooney was really good last year. Wow. But if you read anything about a Falcons preview, there's no mention of him. It's more about what can Pitts do and what will he do. Pitts got out-snapped by Charlie Warner last year in 11 personnel.
That's a good tidbit.
In 11 personnel, Charlie Warner was the tight end and Ray McCloud was a slot. So I consider that a 3-man competition. Because when you were talking about, the lining them up 4 wide, in theory, I go, all right, I'll play that game. I got Drake on one side and I got Darnell on the other, and I motioned Bijan into the slot with Kyle Pitts in the slot with Tyler Algier back of me in a good old fashioned run and shoot, and I'll go 4 wide with anybody with Michael Penix throwing the ball. But Kyle Pitts hasn't been that guy, and I think someone in a draft, if you guys are doing your fantasy, somebody is going to bet on him and somebody's going to overdraft him. Now, he has more incentive than ever. He's on $11 million guaranteed this year on his 5th-year option. Tight ends have gotten paid this offseason. There's always seems to be one or two positions every year that the market rises. Tight end was one of them. If he has a top 5 type of season at tight end, the Falcons franchise him. They absolutely franchise him and say, do it again. And if he doesn't like it and he doesn't want to play on the franchise tag, at least then you are negotiating with other teams from a position of strength with a guy who just finished as a top 5 tight end in the NFL, as opposed to everybody talking about him with the big B word next to him, and you're just trying to recoup some salary cap money. So it was worth an $11 million risk for the Atlanta Falcons this year to pick up his option, because tight ends are cheap, even though he's played 75% of his snaps either in the slot or out wide. He's still got the tight end franchise tag. So it was worth an $11 million gamble. And if he has a great season, tag him. You absolutely tag him and you say, do it again.
Very nice. I love it. LeDuc, please give me your insight on everything you've heard. What are your main targets out of these 2 teams?
Well, the main targets are all the obvious ones for sure. I just find myself circling back to the Jalen McMillan and Emeka Egbuka. I'm bad with names, sorry. I find myself circling back to that because that, I think, could be game changing for fantasy owners this year, getting that choice right. Because I want any piece of that Tampa Bay offense I can get. I'd even go to the extreme of maybe trying to get both of them and figure it out through the first few weeks to see how it looks. If you feel like you can manage that, and I'd say if you can feel like you have confidence that people like to trade in your league, if you're in a situation like that, to where you got to know your league mates, you got to know the way your league typically operates. If you think there'll be windows for you to make some moves once you think you figured it out and move one of them for something, if they're popping at the right time, then I go ahead and take that chance. Then if you play in a quiet league, then you got to just pick one and hope for the best. In that case, it would have to be Emeka for me, just because I think the ceiling is there. But I don't want to sleep on McMillan just because of the way he looked at the times he was out there. It feels like there's going to be some opportunity to go around that he should flash and maybe at least be a spot starter in the flex for you.
Yeah, and you know what? With McMillan, I look at it as Mike Evans could possibly have a backup and somebody who can learn and possibly fill into that role. Not saying Mike's getting old, but he is kind of getting a little bit on the older side. When you're chasing Jerry Rice's records for the amount of seasons that you put up 1,000 yards, you might be getting on the older side. But I think did he actually achieve that record last year? Did he take over that one?
1,004. So when you were betting your mortgage on it, James, I'm like, I might take some of that action this year.
Well, to be fair, he missed a month with an injury.
Right. To be fair, that happens to 33-year-old NFL players.
And to be
It
fair,
does.
Mike Evans always has a hammy problem.
But yeah, I mean, Evans.
No, Evans is awesome. I love him.
Yeah.
He has the
But he is
record for
getting
the
older.
most 1,000-yard seasons to start a career.
Start.
But now that has bled into tying Jerry Rice's record for the most consecutive 1,000 seasons ever.
Right.
And they actually did a video together for the Players Tribune where Jerry said, I want you to break this record. I'm rooting for you. It was a really cool video with the two of them where, Evans got to pick Jerry's brain and everything. So, yeah, that's the other nice thing about this record that Evans has tied and also has is that he's never had to go over 16 games to get it. Even though they've added the 17th game, he's never needed a 17th game in order to get it in terms of games played.
That's awesome.
Imagine
I still
Jerry
remember
Rice
when
with
he
these
played
rules.
at Texas Tech with Graham Harrell.
Can you
and I
imagine
was just
Jerry
like,
Rice playing in today's game with
No way.
these rules? My God.
Oh,
insane.
I feel like watching
And the
Jordan
extra
play
game.
in today's NBA.
Oh,
And the extra game.
it's
All
just
right,
such a different era. We were talking about just the different eras, and I was looking at Eli Manning and John Elway. John Elway is one of the most gifted throwers of the football to ever walk this planet. And he's 6,000 yards behind Eli Manning, who was considered a game manager.
Yeah.
It's like just the eras of the rule changes and protecting the quarterback and the pass interference and all that stuff. It is a different game that they played in. And all those records that Rice had even then, I mean, is just pretty amazing.
That's why he's the GOAT. That's why he's the GOAT.
Yep.
He's on my
All
short
right,
list
guys.
for best football player of all time, honestly. Whenever
We're
anybody
gonna-
asks me, I consider him, again, I'm an 80s kid. It's Jerry Rice and Lawrence Taylor. To me, are like, who's the greatest football player of all time? Those are the first two guys I think of.
Well, you're speaking to my heart because I'm a 49ers fan. I love Jerry Rice. But anyways, guys, we're going to get to our final segment of the day. But before that, we're going to see from our doctor one more time on our percent to the bench for the Atlanta Falcons.
We're getting dirty in the South with the Dirty Bird Atlanta Falcons with Brian Scott and Injureless Podcast. What we got today on the percent to the bench?
All right, we're starting off with Kyle Pitts. Last season he didn't really have much of an injury history, but if you look back in his career dating back to 2022 when he missed 6 games and went on IR for season-ending surgery to repair an MCL sprain in his knee, he has had some nagging hamstring issues over the years. He's missed on average of at least 2 games a year. The real concern with him is more of the history of hamstring issues and soft tissue problems in that knee, so I'm giving him a 20% chance to the bench. Drake London, no injuries again during the 2024 campaign. His healthy status is still holding true, but he did have an ankle fracture that ended his season late in 2021, and again, another guy with a lot of nagging stuff that kind of creeps up throughout the year, so he's getting a 10% chance to the bench. And then Michael Penix Jr., he was drafted in 2024, and prior to that, he had a bunch of major knee injuries and shoulder injuries that predated his NFL career, but he seems to have gotten more durable throughout his NFL career, so I'm giving him a 15% chance to the bench.
Oh, not too shabby. It'll be exciting to see this Atlanta offense, how it looks this season. All right, Brian, appreciate you. We'll see you on the next one.
All right, guys. Well, thank you again to the doc and the commish. Guys, it's been so cordial in here, and we've had so much Saint hate in here, but we got to get this rivalry down, man. We got to get something competition in here for you guys. So we got you guys a fantasy quiz show.
There seems to be no sign of intelligence.
It's the Fantasy Quiz Show.
Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson. It's going to be a long game.
All right. I have a feeling, as Commish would say, it's not going to be a long game today because we do have Bucks and Falcons experts in, and it's going to be fun. Let's get it going, guys. So the rules are, it's simple. It's Fantasy Feud style, so it's like Family Feud. You hit no buzzer. Unfortunately, no buzzer. Couldn't shell out for that. Production wasn't great on that one, but just yell out your name, and then we'll start with you, and then you name something, or you name a person. You're on the list, If he's there, you get the board for 5. 3 strikes and you're out. If you clear the board, you get the point. And if you don't clear the board in 3 strikes and you're out, the other person gets a chance to steal.
We never answered our Central Arkansas out loud.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't believe.
Did anybody in the chat get it?
I didn't see it, but if anybody's watching this afterwards and going through it, we was like, well, who was it? I mean, they probably Googled it by now, but obviously it was Scottie Pippen, Central Arkansas.
Yeah, Scottie Pippen.
All right, and just to be clear, the way we buzz in is we say our own name.
Yes. So you just say James or you say Scott.
I'm shy.
All right. All right, guys. So the first question is, remember, this is just Bucks and Falcons. For the Bucks and the Falcons, name the players, 5 players that have the most passing yards all time.
James.
All right.
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan. All right. Matt Ryan with 59,735. We're on a loop.
Sorry, I can't hear it on my end. So there we go. I took the loop off.
Okay.
I don't know why I can't hear it when I hit the button. So.
Right. He's got 3 already. All right. So that is the number 1 answer, Matt Ryan. You have the board. Go ahead.
And this is their all-time passing yards or against each other's teams?
No. This is all-time passing yards as they did it with that team. So, like, Matt Ryan only got counted for the yards he did with the Falcons.
All right. Michael Vick.
Michael Vick. More rushing yards than passing yards, I guess.
Good.
All right. You got 1 strike and 1 answer right. Board is still yours.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
That is correct.
That is just showing you how the game has changed, where Tom Brady can only spend a certain amount of seasons there and throw more than Michael Vick did.
He was with the team for 3 years, and he's the 2nd all-time leading passer in Tampa Bay history.
Well, if you guess the number 1, you might get that right as well. But Tom Brady did have 14,643 yards with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was number 5 on this list. You still have 3 more on this list, 2, 3, and 4.
Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston. Preach, sir. Jameis Winston comes in at number 3, slap dab in the middle with 19,737 yards. Kind of scary. He had so many years where he would just throw it up there. I thought he would have had more.
Yeah, now I'm in trouble.
Talk to the old guy. I got 2 guesses.
Scott's already got it.
That's what I'm afraid of. Shoot. Vinny Testaverde.
That was one of them.
Vinny Big Testaverde.
That's correct.
That is correct. 14,820 yards. You have 1 strike and 1 answer to go.
You're missing number 2.
Missing number 2. See, that's what's getting me is like who could possibly be up there. And I don't know the Falcons well enough, I don't think. Chris Chandler.
I remember playing this in the game.
Yeah, which means Scott's gonna steal this. All right, last Brad Johnson.
Brad Johnson.
Cannot play with him. Cannot win with him. Cannot coach with him. Can't do it.
Good enough for a Super Bowl, but not good enough for this list. Scott, it is all you. All you have to do is nail that one last answer. It's number 2 on our list. Do you have a name?
Is the Falcons' number 2 all-time leading passer Steve Bartkowski?
Steve Bartkowski. That is correct.
He's the Archie Manning of the Atlanta Falcons. If he was on a better team, he'd be more well known. And if he had 3 kids,
I was gonna say, if only he had 3 little Barts running around.
Archie Manning's career winning percentage is like 33%, and he's a legend because he was, a good quarterback on an awful team. That's where Barkowski was.
I'm pretty sure half of Archie Manning's wins came against the 49ers too. But anyways, that was correct. He had 23,470 yards. Correct, Scott. You are now up 1-0. Let's move on to rushing yards. Same question. Most rushing yards between your two teams all time.
So I'll go with this, Scott.
Scott, lead us off.
Is it top 5?
Top five, yep. Between Bucks and Falcons.
Warwick Dunn's on both. I mean, Warwick Dunn, if I combine him, he's on there. But
Warwick Dunn? Is that your answer?
Gerald Riggs first. I'll get the easy ones out of your way so you can guess, James, on the last one and steal it at the end. Gerald Riggs.
All right, Gerald Riggs. We have a little bit of collusion going on here. I see.
Throwing me for a loop there.
What was the answer?
Michael Turner.
Michael Turner.
That is correct.
Michael Turner coming in with
top 5 for one of the two damn teams. Warwick Dunn.
Warwick Dunn. Crazy that he didn't have more considering he played for both teams.
He's in
5,980
though.
Well, it looks like he only factored in Atlanta there for some reason.
Oh, well, then that's just bad managing, bad production.
But he's on the list.
Golly, if I go scrimmage yards, I want to go William Andrews, but I'm not ready to go there yet. Oh, let's take a shot and rhyme it. Did Mikey Allstott make that list?
Oh, Mikey Allstott.
Okay. Oh yeah, I get 3. I forgot I get to take it.
Yeah.
You have one strike. Mike Allstott. The tank
go,
was not on there.
Let's go William Andrews.
William Andrews. Correct with 5,986 yards. He was number 3. You are missing the number 5 guy on this list, and you have one strike.
I got one strike. I can't think of anybody that really got it going. Bucky's not there yet, but I mean, when I think of Tampa Bay, I don't, think of running. I think
you'd have a better chance.
When the Falcons were bad, they can run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But I already got Gerald Riggs. Oh hell! I don't want to stall too long. Just give me a buzzer for taking too long.
I mean, if you ask for it.
I'm gonna go. I'm leading in. Carnell didn't have enough rushing yards, did he? So it wouldn't Cadillac Williams. It would have been a Falcon that was on higher than Carnell.
Are we driving with a Cadillac?
I'll try Cadillac. I went to Auburn. I was there when he was there. No, I wasn't. I was there 10 years before he was there.
All right, Andrew.
I'll say Caddy, but I don't think that's right.
We gave him the friggin' game. In my opinion, that sucked.
And James, are you going to take advantage?
I know who it is. I know who it is now.
The only other name that comes to mind
just for fun
is James Wilder.
We gave him the freaking game. Coach was right on that one. James Wilder with 5,957 yards. Clocks in at number 5 on this list.
I would have stolen. I never would have gotten James Wilder, though.
All right, guys.
Where was Devontae Freeman? Because that was where I was going to go next.
What's that?
I bet Devontae Freeman was like 6th on that list.
Probably somewhere near Tevin Coleman. But third question out there is most receiving yards all time between the two teams. I wonder who's going to guess this one first. Come on, guys. James. All right.
Julio
Jones.
That is correct.
That was just with his yards against the Bucks.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
12,896 yards lands Julio at number 1 on this list. You have the board.
Mike
Evans?
Yeah.
That is correct.
We just talked about him pursuing Jerry Rice's records. Yeah, he's going to be on the damn list. 12,684 yards. Number 2.
Roddy White.
Roddy White.
That is correct.
He comes in at number 3 with 10,863 yards.
Now it gets a little harder.
It's going
now
right
it
in order
does.
so far.
Now
All
it gets a
right.
little harder.
Now you got to know your history.
What'd you say?
Keyshawn Johnson.
Keyshawn Johnson. Got to get out of here, coach. Got to go somewhere else. He wasn't there long enough to make the list.
Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzo Gonzalez.
Oh, wow. I thought we should be on there.
Woo.
Okay.
You got 2 strikes and 2 answers necessary. You need 4 and 5.
Chris Godwin.
Chris Godwin. Clocking in at 7,000.
That helps because I wouldn't have gotten that one, but I think I got the next one.
Uh-oh.
So I think it's a Falcon, but I don't want to bias the judge here, but I think there's a Falcon in there.
There probably is, and it's probably an obvious one that I'm missing.
I don't think so, but I'll tell you what, he ran the best out route I ever saw.
Yeah, and I don't want to waste too much time. I was trying to remember who their number one was back in the Dirty Bird days when they went to the Super Bowl, but I'll go Jimmy Giles.
Oh, Jimmy Giles.
It's really unfair. It's my team.
Yeah.
You threw me off on that, James, because I was gonna say it's my turn, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Scott, you have the board.
Terrence Mathis.
Terrence Mathis.
But when you said Dirty Birds, all of a sudden that's Andre Rison.
Andre
Oh.
Rison.
Why did I say things? So
Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass.
Oh wow.
And if it was a Buccaneer, I have no idea.
If you had just stuck with your first answer, you would have been right. It was Terrence Mathis.
I was debating. I didn't actually answer yet.
Oh.
You jumped the gun.
Oh. Well,
roll back the tape. I said, if it was the Dirty Bird, that was Andre Rison. I didn't say it was him.
My bad. This seems like there was a pause and maybe it's a delay.
Oh well, yeah.
That's fair. I'll concede the category.
All right.
But,
No.
But
It
Terrence
is all right.
Mathis was
Since
as
we are on
automatic
the
in that
last
14-2 1998 team, wasn't all that fast, wasn't all that big, and him and Chris Chandler were automatic on 3rd and 8. It was unbelievable. Automatic.
So I'm gonna do this. It is final round. This is it. Death match. The judge jumped the gun.
Whoops.
This is gonna be a good one. All right. Most all-time touchdowns for a skill player, so not quarterbacks, a skill player between the two teams. 5 answers on the board. Go for it, boys.
Oh, 5. I'll never get 5. We should be able to let's combine these and get out of here together, James.
All right, fair enough. I'll defer to you. You can go first.
All right, let's see. Julio's on there.
Mm-hmm.
Julio Jones. All right, Scott, you got 4 answers.
Michael Turner should be on there.
All right, Michael Turner. 3 answers.
Let me see. Mike Evans should be on there.
Mike Evans leads the
That
pack.
is correct.
Yeah,
with 106.
And if James Wilder was on that list, he should have put the ball. Well, hell, Mike Allstott should be on there. But
is that your answer, or is that?
I haven't answered yet.
Anything until he says
getting
this
out
is my
loud.
answer.
James, what do you? What
This guy's going over with Andre Rison.
work done? He wasn't the touchdown machine. Then Gerald Riggs and William Andrews, they didn't score a ton. I'll go Roddy White.
All right, Roddy White. 63. You have no strikes, and you have 1 answer left. Close it out, sir.
So, hell, I don't know. Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez.
Come
on.
Yeah.
You got 2, or you got 1 answer left, and you got 2 strikes left.
William Andrews.
William Andrews. All right. Give me one more name we've heard today.
I don't know. Warwick Dunn.
I won't even press it then. Justin was very good with his sound effects.
All right, James.
One more
one
name
shot
that we've heard today. All right, so what is the list here? It's Julio, Mike, Roddy.
It's Michael Turner, Julio Jones, Roddy White, Mike Evans. You're looking for number 2 on the list, most touchdowns by a skill position player. So that's not rushing, receiving. That could be anything altogether. Just has to be a skill position.
Number 2. Good grief.
Scott might have already said it.
Mathis.
All right.
Hello? You play to win the game.
Wasn't Devontae Freeman, was it?
It was Mike Allstott.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. Makes
Mike
sense.
Allstott was 71.
Yeah, I kind of talked myself out of that one.
You did.
Oh my goodness!
But
that makes sense.
Run me through the ringer.
Think of all the short yardage ones he should have been able to get in. The dude was a freaking rhinoceros out there. Loved watching.
Everybody knew who was getting the ball, and nobody could.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
The neck roll.
No, all right, number 2. I'm like, I know it's not a Falcon out there if it's the number 2 on the list.
Scott, you are our winner today, and we give you a round of applause.
Well done, Scott. Well done.
And then for our loser, James, we have something specific for you.
Oh, fantastic.
Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
Dumbass. Thank these. They call me dumbass. Stupid.
To be fair, I was going to give myself the dumbass of the week for messing up that round, but
You can watch it back and see if I didn't quite. But I was still.
You know what? It's not going to affect the record books. You're fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, it's been fantastic. You guys have both been a wealth of knowledge. Thank you so much for coming on. First off, Scott, I would like you to just plug everywhere we can find you and plug your Twitter handle as well.
Yeah, the easiest thing to do to find me all the time for when we're talking sports is youtube.com/Scott Kennedy. It's that easy. We do the Falcons podcast. I put up a bunch of Senior Bowl stuff when I'm there, and then I'm always in the comments. So as you can tell, we had a bunch of Falcons podcast fans come in and join us tonight, and thank y'all for being here too.
Yes, thank you everybody for commenting in the comment section. You guys were fantastic today. You kept the show very lively with all your comments, especially about Saints. James, please tell us where we can find you.
On Twitter at @JYarko_Bucks. The show is at Locked On Bucks on TikTok, Instagram at Locked On Bucks. And then of course on YouTube, Locked On Bucks podcast 5 days a week from now, basically until June of next year. So that's on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Yeah, it's a great network. Like I said, I always watch the Locked On 49ers stuff. It's a wealth of knowledge. And just as you two gentlemen have been, and everybody in the audience, thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, we love you guys. We are the show of the people. We want to bring it to the people, and we're bringing the best of the people as per Scott and James today. But thank you so much for sticking with us, and have a good night.